What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone is having a blessed day. We are here upstairs talking reselling, talking eBay. Wanted to actually open up a dialogue between all of us resellers to kind of just see what are some of the issues and problems you might be facing, whether it's on eBay or in your reselling business. um, if you've been reselling for, I'd say, more than a year, especially on eBay, things have changed. Things are changing on the platform in a big way. So, really just wanted to open up a dialogue between all you guys. So, that's why this is open mic night. You could find linked in the pinned comment or down below, I believe, and jump on here. Give me your 2 cents. What do you think's going on with eBay? What problems have you been facing on eBay? And what kind of things do you see happening in the future? Do you think eBay is dead? Do you think reselling on eBay is coming to a halt? There's been some interesting videos people have been sending me lately. One recently done really well by Rachel Strickland. She did a video about mainly about the eBay search and item specifics and kind of what has been changing on that front. For the longest time, I've known that recommended and additional item specifics, if they don't autofill in the drop down menu, they weren't searchable. Up until recently, eBay has changed their search algorithm completely over the last few months. And now, when you do put in your own item specific related to that product, it can be found if it is in the required item specifics. So interesting, right? We know how important keywords are. Without keywords, your buyer is going to have a hard time finding your item. So I just wanted to really see where you guys are at as far as your eBay business. For me personally, I really haven't seen much of an impact or difference. Yeah, I've had a glitch or two or three, from time to time on the platform, but I want to know from you guys, what is going on? What do you feel like has been different over the last few years reselling on eBay? I first started almost 3 years ago now, and the platform has changed quite a bit. You remember the old classic listing tool? That was a seamless way to get your listings done. And I almost feel like since they made the switch from the classic listing tool to the new listing tool, things really started to change and transform from there. Other than that, simple glitches like, not being able to find your own items in your store, not being able to send out invoices without the date restarting. That always was annoying. When you would send out an invoice, the date of the invoice would keep, resetting. So you weren't able to cancel that item after 4 days like normal. Um, and really just seeing like the promotional for promoted items, the suggested rate going from maybe 6-7% in the clothing category all the way up to like 13% promotion for suggested promotion on items. All these things have been interesting changes and quite dramatic for people, to make that shift in their business. So was really curious, do you guys have questions? I want to know. I want to really just open it up. I want to do more of these lives. I want to include you guys. For the most part, the viewers are resellers. So I want to know, what do you guys see? What do you see in the future? What is going on in your reselling business? I have a link below. You could join in on the live stream. Feel free. You don't have to have your camera on. You do if you want to. That's fine. But mainly just want to know what you guys are going through, and kind of just pick your brain. We're all in this boat together. We're a community. We're better together. Yeah, some people say, "Oh, we're competition." No, I mean, I don't see it that way. I see it as like we're all in the same boat. Um, you if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know I've been on eBay for like 2.5 years. But I've recently just started cross listing, and I've been seeing about 3 or 4 sales a day over on Poshmark for the last 30 days. It's been beautiful. It's been really nice to just add that little bit of extra income. Really does make up for like the really terrible days on eBay. A terrible day on eBay, I would consider like 15 sales between $300 or $400 in sales when I'm usually averaging 20 to 30 sales a day on eBay for 500, 600 gross sales. So with Poshmark coming in with those 3 or 4 extra sales every day, really does help. I know everyone's kind of been jumping on the cross listing train, which is beautiful. I think we should all try it. We can always go back to not cross listing, right? But yeah, let me know questions, comments. I want to know. You want to jump on the chat, the live stream? Jump on. Let's have a chat. Let's get into it. Junk in the trunk. INC. Hello. How's it going? You are a reseller. That is amazing. That is good to hear. Uh, Appreciate you. JP Flips. Hello. Good evening. Selling for 3 years now. Last year started to niche into clothing. This summer was the first summer slowdown. But so far, knock on wood, the last 3 or 4 weeks are great. Yeah, the more you master the items that you sell, the better you're going to get. Nothing wrong with everything selling or selling in a bunch of sporadic categories, but I really started to get better once I started to just focus on clothing in general. Um, I don't know much about hats or shoes or belts, things like that. But as far as like men's and women's clothing, I've gotten much better than I was when I first started. And like I'm talking about identifying, sleeve types, patterns, developing like an index of good quality keywords that I could plug my title in. And I was just looking at my store today, going through some of my oldest items, and it's pretty interesting looking at your oldest titles for your oldest items, and you're like, man, I was a beginner, and so now I'm going through some of my oldest items. I'm going to be going through probably the first 2,000 clothing items I've listed. The first thing I'm going to do is something called a reset. This is what eBay does when they tell you they're going to fix everything when you're on the phone. Let me do a reset on your store. And it's basically just selecting the items in your store under your bulk editor and then getting them into your bulk editor and then hitting submit. And that's it. And that's what a store reset is. For some reason, that does something on the back end of eBay where it like kind of refreshes them up. And I just thought that that was interesting. A Patreon member actually had done that. Shout out Sal. But Sal had did that in his store where he just hadn't had it much sales, for a week. Not like what he was used to. But he did exactly what I was just saying. Is he went to his listings tab, hit edit, and then he edit selected all of his items, took those into the bulk editor, and then let that load in there. And then he just selected them again in the bulk editor and then hit submit. And then he had a $300 day, the highest day he's had in quite some time. So for some reason, that little thing right there does something. It does something to the algorithm. It does something to the back end of eBay. Though I do think we should be doing something to the listing as well to help. But for some reason, that has been turning out good for most people that have tried that. So I'm going to be doing that in my store, and then also possibly turning some of my listings into auctions, just because we got to be honest, right? Some of our first items we've ever purchased are terrible. So I want to turn those into auctions and get them out of here. You know, terrible brands like Forever 21, just really bad brands that I should have never bought. But JP Flips, keep up with it, and you're going to get much better, and you're going to get more proficient and master some of the keywords in clothing. Clothing is a beautiful category to be in because there's so much available, but it can also be dangerous because you could pick up everything. And once you start picking up everything, you'll know some items don't sell as good as others. Bobby, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. She goes, "Hey, a few people have not had a label generated automatically on free returns and were left to figure out the solution for themselves." Yeah, that is a very common error I've seen over the last year. A buyer opens a return, they are sitting waiting for us to either send them a label or approve the return. And I have automatic returns enabled. And we kind of have to either go to pirate ship and send them a label, or we need to figure out how to process that return. But yeah, and then there's sometimes when they'll open a return and you'll have to go buy another label somewhere else when you have free returns on your store. So that's a common error. Pretty interesting. If you guys want to jump in and join in the live stream and voice your concerns or your outlook on what's going on in eBay, I have a pinned comment up here or over here. I don't know where it's at, but down in the description, I know there is a link. And jump on here. Let's chat. It's open mic night. It's time to party. I'm drinking coffee. It's 6:31. Let's go. I want to know. I want to hear. We're all in it together, you guys. I want to know what you're experiencing in your store. If you're thinking about cross listing, or if you're thinking about just being done with eBay. I have been selling on eBay for nearly 3 years, and I haven't really seen a year like this year where I've seen like bigger YouTubers be done with reselling, be done with reselling on eBay. Um, I know like Hustle and Hooks, at least half of them, Dean is stepping away from reselling. I don't know if his wife is continuing it on, but I know he is going to be done with reselling. I don't know if that's eBay related or not, but you just kind of see some of these people that have been doing it for the last few years start to just look at different opportunities out there. Prison to Profit, a great YouTuber, also did great on eBay, but also looking at other opportunities. And I think he's going to be done with reselling. My friend Andy, he was on the channel. We had a podcast with him, the jeans guy, Andy Greenslit, great eBay store uh, for the most part. But he also went into wholesale and shut down his eBay store. He's no longer reselling on eBay. So there are a few people that I can think of that were kind of like, big in the game, had big stores, had good stores, and looking to look at different avenues. And that's their total up to them, their choice. And like going back to just what's been on my heart is like it's just a season. Sorry, internet. If you do have something pop up that's better opportunity than reselling, then take it. Go with your heart and go with your gut. But I do think that it's just a season. Billion-dollar company like eBay. Um, just think of this as like thinning out the herd, right? It's thinning out the people that are usually looking to go in different direction or shut down their store entirely. And those that are left on the platform should reap the rewards, being dedicated in reselling and continuing to do that. Maybe you have to cross list to make it happen. That's fine. Junk in the Trunk INC says, "How many items do I have in my store?" I have 10,091. I've been listing 25 a day for the last month now, and my store has grown by 40 items. So I'm selling nearly as much as I'm listing every day. And that is such a beautiful thing. Like I was listing 50 items a day and only selling 25 a day. So that means I was plus 25 items every day in my store. And that adds up. I just cleared up 5 full racks in my inventory system. And now I don't need to buy racks for a year. I don't need to buy boxes for a year. So when you can get your store optimized and listing the amount that you're comfortable with, and you're picking up good items, it's nice to, even if you're listing 10 a day and you're selling 8 a day, that's a beautiful place to be. Doing the volume game was something that I looked to do for quite some time, but eBay changed this year. eBay changed their search. They changed their back end of things when they're keeping it a big secret. So it was nice to make that change at the right time because I could not imagine still be listing 50 items a day and now only selling 20, 25 items a day. I just didn't want to fill up that warehouse as soon as it would have. So but yeah, 10,000 items. Jared, what's going on? Jared, you're doing great. How many sales today? I want to know. You're doing good. JP Flips, I noticed a big change when I stopped doing a coupon plus a sale. I'm only doing a 30% on the oldest items, and old listings are selling good. Yeah, I stopped doing my markdown sale for almost 2 months now. I'm still selling those older items, though I do think I was selling more of those items when they were marked down 50, 60, 70%. But the profit margin on those items that are so old were terrible. And I always thought like, okay, I'm picking out order 3,883. It sold for $6 plus shipping. And it's like I was tired of basically shipping out items for minimal profits. So that's why I stopped doing the markdown sale. And you got to think of eBay's burying those listings, especially since those are some of my worst oldest items. But yeah, what other changes have you guys seen on the platform? This is a open mic to talk about it. What's going on your side? We hear it, we see it. um, but I do believe there is solutions to all these problems. We just got to get our thinking cap on and think about how can we resolve these problems so we can continue to push forward. I don't encourage anyone to quit. Don't quit, not until you push as far as you can. It takes a lot of work to build up these reselling businesses, with all the information that you learn and all the time that you spend. If you don't have to throw in the towel, don't. Keep innovating. This is the season of change when it comes to eBay. That is for sure. But good to hear that, JP Flips. Sometimes you just got to press a button and we don't know what's going to happen. It's scary, but at the same time, I think doing nothing is not an option in today's eBay world. Junk in the Trunk says, I can't seem to sell women's or kids' clothing. Men's does much better for me. Yeah, there's so much women's clothing out there. Go to a thrift store. What is the percentage of that thrift store makeup of what, 90% women's clothing? And I don't sell kids' clothes for that reason as well. Though if it's like a Patagonia or Carhartt for kids, that I would pick up. JP Flips, only trying to pick up high sell through rate items. That is the season of eBay right now. You hear it all echoed throughout the YouTube world. This is the season of the high sell through rate items. Nothing wrong with having items that sell in 2 years. It's just if you could just focus, maybe spending maybe 50% of your money towards items that are going to sell quicker, right? If that means you have to raise your cost of goods. My cost of goods has got up quite a bit. I think at the start of the year, I was under $1 because I was buying bulk bales, salvage from thrift stores. And, now it's like 217. So, yeah, it's doubled, which is fine, but I'm listing half as what I was when at the beginning of the year. So it's a balance, right? But yeah, you're right, JP Flips. High sell through rate items. This is the season for it if you can find them, because now we're all looking for them, right? Junk of the Trunk says, sorry to hear that. Yeah, I think you were commenting about some of the people that had left eBay. But yeah, I hope that they're gonna, brighter and better future for them. So Mark says, I had a couple old listings and I just moved the keywords to the beginning of the title and they sold right away. Look at that. Exactly that, Mark. Doing things that are different than what we've been so conditioned and told to do. It's interesting, just going in and like refreshing your store, like I just said at the beginning of this video, like going in, edit selected, put them into the bulk editor and just hitting submit. Apparently, that's eBay's way of saying, I've reset your store. And you're like, okay, well, I could do that myself, but thanks. But doing things like that, changing a few keywords in your title, and maybe just changing the order of your keywords in your title. And then if you look at Rachel Strickland's video she did recently, which I think everyone should go subscribe to her channel and just go watch her video. It's basically just an experiment of what she did in her store and how now some of those keywords can be searchable in those item specifics, even if they're not in the drop down menu. So pretty cool, Mark. I love to hear that. This is the season of being different on eBay. Josh, what's going on? You list 120 day and sell 10 or less barf emoji. Yeah, man. What do you think? Like, what do you think? I've heard you say this in your lives. What's the breaking point for you in your business? Like, how long can that be sustainable for you? Like, I know you're pivoting towards more higher sell-through rate items, but what do you see happening? Like, I heard you, I think it was today or the other day, you said that you're almost just ready to put everything on auction, and just let it ride. So I don't know. I have certainly had those types of days too, to where it's like, just take my first 3,000 items, put them all up for $1, and let's go. Because you do have to think like, are those items weighing down my store? Like, are they detracting from putting good buyers in my store? It's interesting. I'm this close to doing it. Jared, you have 3 today. Awesome. What'd you sell? Some Frank and Eileen? So you're picking up some good stuff, Jared. Keep it up. Says hi to Josh. Bobby, you've had a problem on Poshmark. There were weird bots. I think they were strange names and numbers. Join under my name like 100. I've never invited these people. Sales came to a screeching halt. Interesting. Oh man, I don't know. Poshmark's been great for me. I'm very I just unexpected results, I guess I should say. Like I was not expecting to see, 3, 4 sales a day, I guess, this early. I do have most of my store cross listed now, so it is nice to see that. Still getting used to the sharing every day thing. That's interesting, but very thankful. But I'm sure Poshmark has its problems too. And then we also have to think about, with everyone kind of jumping over to Poshmark, what is this going to do? Because the sellers are coming onto Poshmark, but are more buyers or are more sellers coming onto Poshmark or are more buyers coming onto Poshmark? I think with YouTube and people watching these videos and seeing more people have success with cross listing, is there just going to be a mass amount of flood of items like my store, 10,000 more items onto Poshmark? We'll see. But yeah, Bobby, all these platforms have problems. Right now, I think it's just we see eBay as kind of the big boat, the big reselling platform, and it's sinking. Basically, it's people are becoming more aware in video marketing and content creation and just marketing in general through video. These videos are reaching thousands of people, sometimes hundreds of thousands of people and buyers and sellers, and they're hearing. The more that it becomes aware, you have to look at eBay's marketing staff going like, they're hearing it, they have to be hearing it, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger, more problems, and it's just going to get to a point to where, is eBay going to even do anything to fix it, or are they? I don't know. They have to be, right? Billion-dollar company. They have to be. If you guys want to join in the conversation, you can check the link in the comment down below. Join in on the live stream. I want to hear your concerns. I want to hear what you see in the future of reselling on eBay to be. I still think it's going to be, a profitable business model for me in clothing, but it could be different for other people. And it's definitely not going to stay the same for me. I'm switching to 25 listings a day, and I'm looking to spend $3, $4, $5 per item now. Where I was looking to spend, I was so cheap, I wouldn't even spend $1 on an item. That for me in clothing is non-existent anymore. Now I'm needing to allocate more capital to spending for better items. I went to a rummage sale today though. Everything was a dollar, so I couldn't help that. Big Dre, I've been sourcing like crazy this month. Just got $800 worth of E-wing shoes for 200. Hope to flip them soon. Yeah, very good. You got to be diligent in these times. I do feel like pressure is meant to like refine us into becoming better, right? Just that pressure, like when we get too comfortable and these changes happen, then we think like, oh, what happened? Like what I used to do used to work so well. Me listing every day and just listing almost anything, and my sales were so good. And now we really have to, do a little more upfront work, like sourcing an extra day um, to get those better items in our store. I don't mind it. I don't mind sourcing, but it's not for everybody. And then not all of us live in major, around major cities. So it could prove difficult for some people that don't live in huge million population cities. Eddie, you said lately my sales come in big spurts and then my store dies out for a few days. No sales, no offers, no watchers. The pattern seems to be 2 to 3 days off and then turn on for one day and repeat. Exactly. I would say prior to like 2 weeks ago, I would have a $600 day, $200 day, back to 500, back to 300. It was just an up and down. Like if I depended on eBay for my main source of income, oh, I'd have a heart attack. I wouldn't even be here right now. Like no one can watch that. It's like watching Bitcoin drop 50% in one day. You're like, what is going on? So you'd think also with the amount of items that I have in my store, I'll be like the first 2 3 thousand items are terrible. Um, it it shouldn't be like that, right? There should be a little bit more consistency. And I know last year I never had weeks of just up and down like that. The variation between the highest sale week day of the week versus the lowest was like $100. Now it's like I'll have a -50% day versus the previous day, and you're like, what is going on? But the last 2 weeks have been good, more consistent. So Eddie, I mean, I hear you because I just went through a month of that. But when you look at the month over month progress in your store, which everyone should be checking their metrics month over month, don't look at the weekly, don't look at the daily, just look at the monthly. And that's going to give you a lot more data and give you a better picture on how your store is performing through these crazy times. Month over month, my store is fine and doing great. We average between $13,000 to $15,000 in sales every month on eBay, and now with an additional 15 to 2,500 on Poshmark coming in, that's really going to be exactly where I want it to be, listing 25 items a day. Junk in the Trunk says, yes, I saw Rachel's video, added a few item specifics. We'll see if it pays off. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I want to know how many of you guys saw that video and are applying that. It is an amazing strategy that she kind of tapped into. Whether people knew about it, beforehand or not, I think it's worth giving it a shot. It's like, what do we have to lose? Like now, if we're not seeing the sales that we used to see, might as well try it, right? So yeah, check out Rachel's video. She does a great little recap on that. Tim, you said I had 3 days of no sales, went in and changed promoted listings from 2.6 to auto promoted +1 and max cap at 15. 5 sales today. Very good. Yeah, something simple like that. People have been playing around with their promotions, and that's good. That's good that that happened. Rachel Strickland's video was epic. Yeah, I love deep dives like that. I love experiments like that. And when you can track it and go, hey, this is what didn't work, and this is what is working. There's no gatekeeping. Sorry, Starlink internet. Y'all know the drill. It cuts out. Um, so yeah, like if you're holding things back, I almost just feel like that's doing a disservice to other people that have the opportunity to pretty much change their lives reselling. I do have to owe credit to eBay transforming my life. Am I a millionaire? No, but do I get to work for myself? Yes. I think a lot of people have that built-in desire. I do see a lot of people say, I would rather make half as much money and work for myself than to work for someone else's business, and make double, right? Because you do need to realize that, like, how do you want to spend your time? And the work from home and work for yourself is a very appealing business, part of the business of reselling that people like. But yeah, check out Rachel's video. That was great. Joseph, you said I've been on eBay since 2007. Current conditions aren't really that abnormal. It's not normal for those that started 3, 4 years ago when the economy awash in cheap money. Yeah, yeah, that's we got to realize in 2020 there was a mass amount of money pumped into the system, and it kind of creates this fake, you know, like we're having the best time of the year, and more and more buyers came onto the eBay platform than ever before, and they did not retain a single buyer pre-pandemic. They're now at the same amount of buyers they had in 2019. So yeah, that is a really good point. And you being a seller since '07, there's seasons on eBay where this isn't something new. Like, there's nothing new under the sun, right? That there's cycles. There's ups and downs. And if you got into 2000, like I didn't get into 2020. I think 2021, the start, was my eBay journey. But yeah, you got to realize that these are seasons that are out of our control. Um, Regressions always follow progressions. It's a season, right? The average bull market, the average progression is 10 years, when after 10 years, the economy usually cools down a little bit. But yeah, that's good input, Joseph. Josh, you said I have good growth so far, 55 to 65% year over year. If that starts to decline, then I will do something drastically different. Yeah, that's a great point of view as well. Like, looking at your metrics year over year. Think about like how many Fortune 500 companies look at their weekly and their daily sales. They're looking at bigger metrics, quarterly reports, yearly reports, to really get a good amount of data of their customer so they know where to pivot and what to do. But yeah, year over year, if you're up 55, 65%, um, it'll be interesting to see this time next year what we're doing. I think I'm up like 30% year over year, 20%, so not much. But last year I had a great year on eBay, because my purchases were great. This year, my purchases were not half as good as they were last year. Yeah, your reselling life is only as good as your sourcing life, right? So we will need to probably source an extra couple days a week to make up for these times, or do some calling around and see what you have in your area. Tarek says, does Vendu have resizing? My eBay photos aren't square, so it's hard to do with Poshmark. Yes, I believe so. You can edit the photos in there. When you import them from eBay and you put them onto Poshmark, you should be able to resize the photos and remove the background if you want to. Josh says, "In crossing my fingers for Q4, my primary strategy failing that." Yeah, quarter four for me last year was great, but then also too, you bring this up quite a bit. Is like the consumer is so different than they were last year. You made a post from Citigroup tracking the consumer buying month over month, and it's been like 9 months of negative growth from our consumer purchases. So it's pretty interesting, right? Like, the people who buy our products, like if you sell to, maybe let's say, the younger demographic on Depop, and you're selling more vintage cool stuff, those people usually are putting credit cards and spending money they don't have. So you really got to know who your buyer is. I mean, I sell a lot of old lady women's plus size clothing. Usually those people would have a little more money than the younger demographic. But yeah, you got to focus on who your buyer is, and would you think that that buyer had money to buy the things that are in your store? Do they need those items? Because right now the the people who are out shopping for Christmas right now are probably passing up on some of the stuff that they were buying last year at the same time. But yeah, Jared, hit the like button. Hope you're doing well, Jared. Good to see you. Appreciate you. If anyone wants to come on, I mean, I got a link in the description. Let's chat. I'm here to go for a while longer. I want to talk to you guys, but even if we don't go, if you don't come on live, that's fine. I just wanted to open it up to you guys to come on here and just chat. Voice your concerns, voice your opinion. What do you think's going on with eBay? What things that you are looking forward to in the future on eBay? And it's going to be interesting when the Q3 report comes out and just see what they're doing. Are they squeezing the sellers for more money? You know they are, right? Um, Something that I've noticed recently is, yeah, you could promote your store now. So your storefront, you can pay for promotions to promote your store. So another way where you can spend more money on eBay and make more sales possibly. Junk in the Trunk says, I've been on Poshmark for 2 years, but my sales have stopped on there too. Wonder if it's the number of new daily listings. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if Poshmark, halts you for putting up too many listings. I've been doing 200 a day cross listing onto Poshmark. Well, my VA is, and things have been, I haven't noticed any dry spells of nothing. It's been at least a couple sales a day, which has been nice. I know they do limit you once you start listing too much on Poshmark. Joseph says, granted, these days eBay has way more competition, whatnot, etc. The only thing that stays the same is everything changes. Oh man, I love that. Yeah, 100%. Change is inevitable. It's always happening within us, around us. It's just important that we always stay innovative and keep changing, initiating change. The change that we want to see. I didn't want to go from listing 50 a day to 25 a day, but I knew that if I continued doing that and not focusing on maybe raising my cost of goods up and better items, then my warehouse would be much fuller than it is now. And I would probably still have the same amount of sales that I have today and still picking up bad items that I don't pick up anymore. So, yeah, everything changes. What are we going to do about it? Doing nothing is not an option. Big Dre says last month, Mercari outsold eBay and Poshmark, was third, but this month eBay is in the lead and zero sales on Mercari and Posh. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what to say. All I know is that maybe we are in the season because we are resellers to take all of our items that we spend all the time putting on eBay and put them everywhere. Start your own website. Put them on Facebook. Put them on Depop, Vinted. What is there's Mercari, Vinted. There's so many different ways to sell an item. I know I've been thinking around with the idea of doing my own Shopify store, but then I got to pay for my own traffic to send it to those items. So, but I do think that this is a big shift, what is called a paradigm shift, right? Of instead of sticking to just one platform, maybe we should be looking to now put them on other platforms. Another cool platform, some people in our Patreon use it, similar to Vendu, not as fancy and cool, but it's called Resell Kit. And Resell Kit allows you to cross list on all of those platforms and also has an auto delist feature for all of those platforms, where Vendu only has one, or what's with eBay and Poshmark. But Resell Kit allows you to have auto delist on all of those platforms. So you could essentially have your items everywhere and they're delisted. That's the big issue with me with cross listing is I don't want to, and I don't have the extra time in my day to be able to manage the inventory when they sell on different platforms. So check out Resell Kit, just type it into Google, and I think it's even cheaper. It's something I might do once I get all my stuff cross-listed onto Poshmark. Tarek says Posh sales will slow down if every seller cross posts. They don't have enough buyers for the saturation. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, think about it. more and more sellers jumping on to Poshmark, flooding the inventory with the items coming from eBay to Posh, and ask yourself, like, are more and more buyers coming to Poshmark? Yeah, probably, but is I mean, is many is there as many buyers coming to the platform as many sellers? I don't know. I don't think so. Poshmark is still relatively small compared to eBay. Um, I mean, they do like a fifth of the business what eBay does in a day. So it's still a pretty small platform. But the one thing that is cool about Poshmark is they got commercials. They have a social media presence. I do feel like marketing through video, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Whoever's the slowest to do that is gonna die in today's age. So at least Poshmark and Vendu and all these other platforms have it going on when it comes to that. Um, but yeah, good point, Tarek. Hope I said that right. Joseph says, I started reselling 16 years ago, and there are very few things that I do the same when I first started. Yeah, it's crazy. Things change. Even just me a couple years ago, just like the little things that I do in my business, from title structure to taking my photos to my shipping to my sourcing, they're all transformed. Like, I don't go to the bins. I haven't been to the bins in quite some time, over a month and a half. And I did take like a good year break from the bins. So my sourcing's always constantly changing. But it does make me more excited now that I'm spending a little bit more money for items that I personally want to put in my store. Like, I feel proud to put those items in my store. Where before I was like, just list it, just get it up there, someone will buy it. And it's like, no one's gonna buy a stained Nike T-shirt. Come on, Bo. What am I thinking? So, even though there are people that will buy it, but my business model has changed from that. There's nothing wrong with that business model. Junk in the Trunk says, I haven't tried Mercari. Some of the videos say there are lots of cancellations. I'm willing to try though. Yeah. Um, from what I've talked to other resellers, Mercari is great for hard goods. Um, I don't know how it does for clothing, but I'm definitely going to try it. If you guys watch me long enough and hear me blab for long enough, you're going to see me. I'm not just going to stop at Poshmark. That's why Resell Kit, the cross posting platform, has been intriguing for me, because you're able to cross list onto multiple platforms and have the auto delist feature on. So I'm going to be probably doing Mercari next, and we'll see how it goes. If I could get an extra 2, 3 sales from Mercari a day, then that's great too. But we'll see. The best thing about trying all this stuff, guys, is you could always just go back. You could cancel your Vendu membership. You could be done with Poshmark. I mean, it's not like a permanent decision, because you're just trying it. You're trying it out. Like, as for me too, like, I could go back to picking up those 50 items a day that aren't so good if my higher cost of goods model and high sell-through rate model isn't working. So, but right now I'll tell you this, it is working, just from the small time frame that I've done this in for like the last 2 months of picking up higher sell-through rate items. But yeah, I've heard Mercari is not the best. Also, the highest fees are on Mercari too. Who wants that? Deborah says, eBay has been reposting my sold items, leading to out of stock. Yeah, next month will be below average. Yeah, 100%. Deborah, I feel you on that. A, a couple members in our Patreon and also outside of the group, I have heard the same thing, is that I don't know why eBay doesn't tell resellers this, but if you cancel just a few times for out of stock option, your account's done. Like, it's so hard to get out of that below standard, even above standard range, because of that defect, the out of stock option. You cancel an order because you don't have it, or it's sold on another platform, and you hit, instead of buyer asked to cancel or buyer hasn't paid, and you cancel it for out of stock, you only get a couple of those before your account is severely hindered. Like, I think if you go below standard, you can't promote. Your all your items get suppressed, and that ties to your social security. So you can't go start up a new store and pretend like it never happened, because it will just follow you to your next store. So, Deborah, keep us posted on how that goes. I would definitely be diligent on calling eBay. Don't go down without a fight, especially if it's their fault. So, but I know things can get better. Bob, yeah, exactly. I sold two Plato's closets in You sold two Plato's closets in two different cities last couple days. I'm so happy you're having this discussion. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a great way to get rid of inventory. So I think you're saying you've sold items you found to Plato's closet. That is a great alternative way. Hey, and I know you do the flea market too. So um, you're right. When everyone is doing this, we kind of got to look elsewhere. What aren't people doing? We don't want to follow the crowd necessarily. We got to think different. I've always thought different is better than better, especially in this times. We want to be different. How can we stand out? How can we be different? Just like what Rachel Strickland did in her video. I know I brought it up a couple times already, but she did something different. And look at the results. Different results. So it's good. Helping out the community. Junk in the Trunk says, "Thank you guys for confirming I'm not crazy. I'm hearing others say the same. A high sales day usually leads to the next few days of zero zilch." I don't know. I don't, thinking back to last year, um, I don't remember any days where I had like a $400 day and the next day was like $73. And then the next day was back to 400. Where these past 2 months, I've seen it up and down, up and down. But over the course of the month, my sales were the same. I think I did just under 14,000 in sales on eBay last month. So while I had those ups and downs that give you a heart attack and like turn your hair all gray, um, month over month, it was the same. It reminds me a little bit of trading. Like when you look at the time frames when you trade stocks and you're looking at like, it's probably not going to make any sense to most people, but when you look at the time frames in which these stocks are trading and you're not zooming out and looking at the big picture of how the stock is performing, you'll give yourself a heart attack. It's just not enough data. It's like going everywhere. You'll get crushed. So it reminds me of that. Like I try not to look at the daily stuff, but it's hard not to, right? Especially if we're on the platform 5, 10 hours a day. um, but yeah, Josh says the platform has been very inconsistent for 5 months straight. We all need to get a good run of sales here. Yeah, especially now more than ever. It's crazy. Um, yeah, I'd say my weird sales started in July. July was an interesting sales month for me. I think it was the lowest month of the year at 13,000 in sales. Um, but yeah, something happened, I think, back in April, May, April, when things got a little weird. I was still listing 50 a day then, but I noticed more glitches and my sales weren't as consistent as they were like in November, December of the previous year. But yeah, it's interesting. Jay Haas says, "Hey Bo, quick question about lighting. I use a single ring light. Far away versus close up photos result in different shades of color. Lighting issue, camera issue, thoughts. God bless." Yeah, I think especially if you're doing clothing, we're all gonna face this issue. When you sell like used clothing, I don't think it's as big as an issue if you were selling like new clothing on Amazon. It is important that you get the accurate colors as you can, but the way to fix it is if you want to spend more time on your phone. I don't know if you use a phone or a DSLR or whatever, but you're going to be spending more time adjusting your ISO and your aperture and your white balance on your camera than you are going to be taking the photos. So if you want the most color accurate and well lit photos, you'll be shooting it in manual on your phone or on your camera, and you'll have to adjust for every single item. And for me, I don't have uh, the patience or the time to be adjusting for every single item. So I just shoot it on auto. And if anyone ever has a question about the lighting or the color, the most accurate photo is always going to be the first one. But yeah, once you start to take photos of the tag and you start to go in on the cuff and the left cuff in the mid rise, the shades of color are going to change, especially if you're on auto. So the only way to fix that is to be in your camera more and adjusting those settings. I tried that and I go, this is going to take me, it's going to double up the time in which I take photos. So I don't think that it's a big deal when you're selling clothing. And if anyone ever asks, just say the first photo is usually the most accurate. Um, so I know my phone has the hardest time with grays and beige, and it's hard for my lister to tell the difference too. But yeah, it's a common issue. I don't know if you take photos with a camera or your cell phone, but yeah, I want to be coming on here more, talking to you guys, open mic night, whether you want to jump on or not. I just really appreciate you all. We're all in this together. No one is better than the next, whether you've been doing great on eBay or you just started. I feel like, all of us are experiencing some kind of weird issues on eBay. Let's see, I'll check my sales today. eBay has so 369 on eBay, 14 sales, and then $70 in sales on Poshmark, 5 items. So what is that? 19 items or so for $430 in sales. That's great. I'm a good, like, the average for me, what I'm happy with is 15 to 25 sales in a day for $500 gross. I love living in that area at the current what I'm putting into eBay, and that's 25 listings a day. So if I could sell 25 listings a day, that's real good. But I'm happy between the 15 to, let's say, 30 items sales a day. Every now and then I'll get a $700, $800 day. But I'd say just the average is a good $500 day. That's good. I hope for more, but the only way it's going to become more is when I start picking up better items, right? Like, that is the focus. I do think that that should be the focus for all of us, but not all of us live, by big cities. Sourcing is really dependent on where you live. Like, I'll just take for example Jared. He lives in Arkansas, and while the bins is a great place to be known for getting good items for very cheap, he'd go sourcing for 4 or 5 hours a day and come out with like 10 items because it's all bad stuff. He lives in Walmartville. It's all Walmart mass produced, time and true stuff. So it really does depend on where you live. But also, you know, what is it? It's not about our resources. It's about our resourcefulness. How are we going to be resourceful in finding better items? They're out there. We live in a consumerism country. That's why you see these Amazon bin stores. It's like, think about it. Those Amazon bin stores, people bought these items and then returned them, and now they're being sold for pennies on the dollar in a bin. And then what happens after that? Where do they go? In the trash. So it's a beautiful thing that what we do helps kind of save the environment. It helps you, start a business and put more value back into the economy. But now let's start figuring out, well, how can we get better items in our store? Because we know they're out there, and there's no excuse not to do it. I had to definitely change my mind. Changing your mind is the hardest thing in the world. Knowing what to do and changing your own mind is very difficult because we get so stuck in traditions, right? Our conditioning and our traditional thinking, and then the world's constantly changing and we're stuck in traditions. And then we wake up one day and go, wow, things are different. I need to change. And that takes a while. You should see me. When I first started to change into more of the higher sell-through rate items, I would like go and pick up. It's like my muscle memory was like, oh, this Ann Taylor or whatever, this like stuff that I was used to picking up, and I had to tell myself, like, slap my hand, no, Bo, don't pick it up. And I had to do it over and over again before my brain was like, okay, like I had to retrain my sourcing life. I had to retrain how I thrifted items because I had to tell myself, "Bo, I don't pick those up anymore. I need to take." It's like a sense of discipline you need to build back up inside you to not pick up those bad items. and that's the season we're in. Um, but yeah, it's crazy. But Jay Haas, try that. If you want to take them in manual mode, try it. See how much time it takes you, but it does take a little bit of time. Junk in the Trunk says, I stopped sourcing the fun part, but I have to sell more first. My death pile should keep me going for a while. Yeah, so I mean, similar boat. Last year I bought quite a few storage units and still left with the items that I didn't want to list, but now I'm listing those, and I just want to make sure I manage those items before I go out and buy more. I know I did go to a rummage sale today, but like, I spent $68, got 50 items. Um, but the thing is like we should work through our death pile, but also look at your death pile as like, are these items even worth listing, and should I just redonate them or sell them, run a garage sale? So there is a big management part to it. My death pile consists of about 4 more extra large U-Haul boxes filled with belts, underwear, and socks. So I really made a commitment to not go to any retail thrifts or, even the bins to buy anything before I get that stuff listed. But rummage sales, I had to go to because those are the best. Also, your money goes to a good cause. So even better. While I wasn't like, you know, I, the thing is like when I'm sourcing now, I'm not like I need to pick up 400 items a week. When I was listing 50 a day, it was like I need to pick up this amount. Now it's much more cruise control. It's much more relaxed. It's like I can walk into a thrift store now and go, I'm okay with not walking out with anything. And that takes a lot of discipline to build up when you're listing 50 items a day. You're probably thinking, yeah, Bo, that's easy for me, but it took me a while to kind of get into that mindset of like, if I walk in here, I need to be disciplined to not buy a bunch of junk. So, yeah, I want to know if you guys, catch this on the replay, or even if you have questions afterwards, just drop them in the comments, and we'll circle back to it next week. I want to jump on here more, invite you guys on, see what you have to say. We're all in it together. We're better together. We're all learning from each other. And maybe it could be the time where we start to cross list and do other things like, someone changed up their title structure a little bit, made some sales. Another good channel too to check in on is Polish Pete UK. He's a UK reseller on eBay, and he has a lot of good insight into what's going on and what he's doing. His channel's great, very underrated, but he does a lot of these little trials. He tries this for a month or a week, and he doesn't tell us anything about it until the results are in. And I love that type of stuff. Trying this and gathering the data and see what's working. That's how we can all work together. So go check out Polish Pete UK. He had a great video today on what he's been up to and how he's been increasing sales in his store over the last month. Jay Haas says, thank you for spending Friday with us. Yes, you're welcome. I want to be on here as much as I can to help you guys and kind of just give you a little bit of insight on what I'm doing in my business, the wins and the losses. For now, things are just grooving along. All I'll say is like, thank God I went from 50 a day to 25 a day. It's been a big, nice switch. And then also the cross listing has been nice. So I'm going to keep showing that all along. Once I get all my stuff listed onto Poshmark, it will be Mercari next. And you will see if that's a complete failure or if it's even worth doing as well. I will be using possibly Resell Kit as the cross listing platform for that. If you guys want to check that out, just type it into Google. I don't have a link in description. So I haven't tried it out yet, but it has the auto delist for multiple platforms. But yeah, Jake, I'll try and come on next week. Yeah, appreciate you. Hope everyone has a blessed weekend. I think that change is inevitable, and we got to keep on pushing on. But appreciate y'all. Love you guys. Keep up the good spirits. Remember, there's no problems in life, only problems thinking. So let's go, baby. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.